Hi friends, welcome to the Gifted Essentials Library. Today's book is an audiobook for me. I listen to audiobooks when I travel, especially between North Carolina and Florida, being that I work in both states. There's a lot of time on the road sometimes. So I got this audiobook by Matthew McConaughey called Greenlights. And I picked it because I think he has a great voice in the romantic comedies, and I thought, well, it would be kind of fun and light to listen to on my trip. Part of it was really light and fun. Here's some things I love about the book. He does a lot of things of notes to self, bumper stickers, like little quips that he thinks is important. And he does prescriptions, like, this is what we should do. And he's really been on an amazing personal journey that isn't always obvious for people. So he talks about his fame and what he was like before he was famous and changing from romantic comedies to other roles, like all of those things, and his travels. A lot of the book is his journaling. And a lot of people don't even really realize that many successful people journal a lot, and we save our journals. And he reflected in some of them and shared some dreams and some really amazing things. Now, of one note, when I think about gifted people, he's totally gifted, and he is following his passion. So he's got that piece of it that we can all be inspired by. He also uses some language and some stories that younger kids may not be appropriate for, and maybe even early adolescents. I think that would take parental decision. It wasn't bad by any stretch, but when I thought about it, I thought, well, for kids, maybe not so much. But one of the things he said, I took some notes. I stopped and took some notes. Put yourself in a place to receive the message. Right? I say that all the time. Put yourself in position to receive your blessings. But he's saying the same thing, right? And he also had to deal with imposter syndrome and had a lot to work through in his own world. So you have to put yourself in position. Like, he even had to put himself in his position to receive his blessing in his career and in his life with his wife, his kids, everybody. And then part 4 comes along, and he's talking about the art of running downhill. And I love that title. His titles are great. And he does this prayer that I wrote to the best of my ability. It's probably not exactly as he says it in the book. In fact, if I were you, I would get the audiobook and listen to him say it, because it's profound. So I'm going to give it to you now, and then you can see how it applies to you. He says, God, when I cross the truth, give me the awareness to receive it, the consciousness to recognize it, the presence to personalize it, the patience to preserve it, and the courage to live it. Those are powerful words. And it's important to be aware enough to receive the good life, to receive the message, and conscious enough to even know that it's happening, and patient in order to bring our higher spiritual visions forward. There were times in this book where he had to be very patient, where he made decisions based on his soul and his heart, and he had to be patient. We all have to be. So it's a great life lesson book. I love the way he narrates it, because he's a great storyteller. And some of the stories are really quite fascinating. About some time he was in Australia, about a couple other walkabouts he did over the course of his life. And so it's a great driving book, because you can hear the story, tell the story, be in the story. And in the middle of it are these profound lessons, these one-liners, these reminders that a lot of us know on some levels, or maybe we're learning just now. And it reminds us. I even mentioned that I was listening to this audio book to my esthetician, and she goes, oh my God, I've listened to that book many, many times, over and over. It's very captivating that way. So for gifted people, he speaks fast, he's fun, he's delightful, he's a multi-potentialite. It's not just about Hollywood. It's about what it's like to live in the world that he's lived in, before, during, after, all of those things. And of course, It's kind of like a memoir, but he's quite young still. So I wonder what part 2 is going to be, right? And for all of us, it's a reminder that we are gifted. There are a lot of things going on for us, and there's more than one level. There's more than one dimension. There's more than one thing happening. We are multifaceted. So to expect ourselves to be totally fulfilled in any one area, for one area to take care of everything, that would be goofy, right? It doesn't work that way. So remember the prayer. When I cross the truth, give me the awareness to receive it. In other words, open our eyes, open our inner eyes. Pay attention, right? Be conscious so we can recognize it. Be present so we can make it our own lesson, our own story, our own mission. And be patient so we can preserve what's going on. And then, of course, it takes courage and faith and guts, in my mind, to actually live these higher truths that we say are important to us. And as Matthew McConaughey says, that's part of the art of running downhill. Now, the book has many more lessons in it, has lots of amazing stories in it. It entertained me all the way to Florida from North Carolina, and entertained me part of the way back, because I've listened to part of it over again, because there's messages in there that I wanted to remember, but also because I love the art of storytelling. Our brains tell stories. That's how we remember things, in story. So for me, listening to great storytellers, it's an inspiring thing to help me be a better storyteller. It's a way for me to really pay attention more fully to how I tell the story outside and how I tell the story inside, in my own self-talk. So how do you tell your stories, right? And do you tell your story with the passion and conviction and commitment of somebody who's living it and on point? Or are you just kind of ho-humming along and not really doing that? So this book had a lot of levels of fun for me, a lot of cool lessons, a lot of cool reminders. And another reminder that I run into all the time is that just because somebody has achieved a level of fame doesn't mean they're shallow or superficial, and it doesn't mean they just landed on it like that and it was easy. When you hear his story, you'll realize it wasn't just an overnight ease. Not at all. So how does that work for all of us when we're following our passion? It's not easy sometimes, or it takes longer than people think. People think that I just landed here with my ability to help people on the deep levels that I do. And I'm like, well, I've been doing this for 40 years. For some of my clients, I've been working on my craft longer than they've been alive. So there's lessons and messages that we all can support each other on and be reminded of. So get the book, Greenlights, by Matthew McConaughey. I am listening to the audiobook, enjoying his voice telling his own story. I think you'll be inspired, and you'll see lots of cool bumper stickers and notes to self, and of course this beautiful prayer and other things that he says that really can remind you of your own beauty, your own essence, your own goodness. So now I'm already home in my driveway, but I wanted to give you this little review right when I'm in the moment of it, because it's really fun. So until the next episode of the Gifted Essentials Library, be well.